Every day means every day. My name is Brandon Burns, and in today's video, I've got one simple request for you. No matter what it takes, no matter what it takes, get into an environment where the people around you are operating at a level of excellence that is above and beyond what you are currently doing. Now, this could be a level of excellence in their character, it could be a level of excellence in their spirituality, or it could be a level of excellence in their business, in their career, in their sport that you have not yet achieved. You have to get around people that are modeling success. I hate when people talk about, somebody will say, hey, I joined this community or I joined this mastermind or I'm going to this event. And people are like, oh, what, are you going to learn by osmosis? Just by being around those people? And the answer is like, yeah, in part at least. Now, that's not all of it. You still got to apply some intentionality. You still got to be deliberate. You still have to execute on the things that you learn. But at the end of the day, when you get around people who are operating at such a high level, you're going to be more inspired, whether you like it or not, whether you try to be or not. You're going to pick up on a couple of things that are going to help you actually get there, whether you try to or not. So yeah, you kind of do actually learn by osmosis, but you've got to have somebody in your life that is modeling the behaviors of where you eventually want to go. By the way, this doesn't necessarily have to be in person. If you're watching this right now and you're sitting there thinking, man, I don't have 100 grand to join a mastermind. I don't have, 5 grand to fly across the country and go to this big event with these incredible speakers and the networking. I can't do that right now. Cool. You might be watching this saying, dude, I'm stuck in a bad situation. I got nobody around me who is aiming for the type of things that I'm aiming for. There's nobody around me. And I can't necessarily get out of this neighborhood or this job or whatever it is right now, but I want more than what the people around me seem to want. We're not aligned. We're not equally yoked. If that's you, it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody in person. You can open up your phone. You can go to Instagram or go to YouTube and you can literally connect with people that are one step, 5 steps, 10 steps ahead of you, and you can learn from them in almost real time. And in fact, you can even get a distillation of all their knowledge and of all the lessons and the earned wisdom, the ideas and the best practices that they've learned and earned over years and years and years of hard work and failures and learning from those and so on and so forth. You can get that in an instant these days. Shoot, you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I need you to create my digital mastermind group. I want you to put in all of the ideas from Brandon Burns, Eric Thomas, Alex Hermosi, Lewis Howes, Shakespeare, like whoever, and then say just distill all of their ideas. And when I ask you a question from now on about advice on business, on life, relationships, etc., I want you to cross-check it with all these people's different philosophies, come to a holistic best consensus possible, and then give me an answer, filtering it through these individuals' experiences and frameworks and perspectives. By the way, also add in any relevant books or research on the topic that are widely known for being highly effective. Make sure you add in some peer-reviewed research into that as well, into this mastermind group. Okay. And then you just ask you questions. There's so many ways right now that you can get really good advice and get exposed to some of these principles and some modeling of these success principles that takes no money and hardly any time and effort. So that's the number one thing I want you to get from this video is the importance of getting around people who model success. Let me give you a few examples. When I was 16 or 17 years old, I was the janitor at a gymnastics camp called Flip Fest. And I got all the worst jobs because I was the janitor in charge. That was my department. I led the whole little cleaning team, right? And the only reason I was doing it was because I couldn't afford to go to the camp. I mean, it was like $1,000 a week, so I couldn't afford to be there. But in working there, I ended up, of course, being able to stay the entire summer, which was a blessing for me because had I not done that, I never would have met the assistant coach at the University of Michigan. Had I not gone to Michigan, which I only did because I met the coach at Flip Fest, I never would have met Eric Thomas. Had I not met him, I never would have gotten into speaking, coaching, consulting, etc. So it was one of those really pivotal moments of my life. And people ask me sometimes, like, B, how did you have just the maturity emotionally as a 16, 17-year-old to humble yourself and clean people's toilets for them? Or if a kid got sick and threw up, that was my problem. If a sewer line burst, which it did happen one time, that's my problem, right? Because I was in charge, so I got all the worst jobs. How did you accept that that was your position in life at that point? Because most 16, 17-year-olds, especially these days with social media, they're, it's just not that mindset. They don't want to serve, especially in a low capacity like that. I don't say that to be disparaging. I just mean like it's not the greatest job in the world. And I always tell people, well, it was really easy for me. Why was it really easy for you? Because before that, when I was 12 years old, I watched my mom scrub the toilets and clean the baseboards on her hands and knees at the school that we were going to because we couldn't afford the tuition there. And to help offset some of that tuition, she would clean the school. And so to get me an education and to get me more opportunities, she was cleaning toilets. I figured, okay, when it's my turn to make sacrifices and work hard and clean toilets too, to give myself an opportunity, I'm already pre-programmed to understand what this looks like. I'm pre-programmed to understand the sacrifice, to understand the effort, to understand the humility that is involved in giving yourself some opportunities in life. Because success and those principles were modeled for me, it made it not even a thought process. Like when I was offered to go be the janitor at that camp, I said yes without even thinking about it. It's like, absolutely, I'm going to do that. Because intrinsically, I understood this, that this is how opportunities come about. I'll give you another example. At that same camp, I'd never been around gymnasts who were better than me. I'm not being arrogant when I say that. I'm just from Huntsville, Alabama. So men's gymnastics is not really the biggest sport in town. It's a football city. And so I'd never been around gymnasts that were better than me. And I went there. I remember one of the very first fall camps that I went to. It was just a little weekend-long camp in November. I went there, and a gymnast named Lexi Priestman was there. And she was a very, very high-level athlete. She was competing elite at that time. And she saw me tumbling, and she kind of stopped me and asked me, hey, what are you training for? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, are you training for U.S. championships? Are you training for, Pan Ams? Are you training for a different event? Like, what are you training for? And I was just like, I don't know. I'd like to get recruited to go to college one day. I don't know. And it blew my mind because I'm like, how have I not thought about this before? But nobody had ever asked me that question because in the environment that I was in, that was not what we were doing. And so by getting in a new environment where these people were better than me, where they were training for U.S. championships, where they were training for all these other events, it opened and expanded my mind to say, oh, maybe there is more out there for me. Maybe I can do more. I would not have had that thought process. That spark would not have been ignited without getting into an environment where people were, again, modeling success. I'll give you one last example. I was in Columbus, Ohio with E.T. after he had done a gig with the Ohio State football team. And we go out to lunch right after the keynote. And we're sitting around the lunch table. E.T. sitting there. I think I might have told this story on this channel before. E.T. sitting there talking about how he's about to go start charging 6 figures per keynote. A guy named Anthony Flynn sitting there, E.T.'s business coach, talking about how he's raised $50 million to seed church plants. Guy next to him is Braxton Miller, old OSU quarterback. He's talking about how he just raised $2 million to build a school out in Africa. Little old me sitting there. I was probably 24 at the time, maybe 25. And I was already making 6 figures. I was doing well, but I'm sitting here listening to these guys talk. And immediately in my mind, the switch flips. I said, I got to do more. I got to start dreaming bigger. I got to start thinking bigger. I got to start allowing my mind to daydream a little bit more. I got to start reaching a little higher. I got to start getting some things done. I got to move quicker with more urgency. Why? Because I'm around people who modeled the success. I'm telling you, there's nothing that is going to more quickly shift your mind's expectations of what you're capable of than getting around people who are at a high level. So again, I don't care how you do it. You can do it with ChatGPT. You can do it with social media. You can do it with events. You can do it with mastermind coaching programs. You can do it with things like the Everyday Means Everyday app. Go to everydaymeanseveryday.com. Get in our community. There's a million ways that you can do this, but I promise you, no matter what you're trying to excel at, sports, business, spirituality, relationships, you need to get around people who are better than you in those areas. If you do that, I'm telling you, your life's going to go so much quicker in the sense that you're going to progress so much faster. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with somebody who needs to hear this message. Till next time, don't forget, every day means every day.